I was at a fundraiser the other day for Tom Emmer, who is the Republican candidate for governor, and I asked in the room, I said, how many of you were involved in politics last year? And only half the room raised their hand. I said, how many of you haven't really been involved in politics before, but you felt compelled to become part of the political environment, the political movement today? Half the room raised their hand. So let me ask that question here. How many of you are recent involvement, or have a recent involvement in politics? Raise your hand.
Very good.
That's exactly what is going to propel us to success. And when I say us, I don't mean a party, I mean a movement. I mean a future. When I think about why we're here and why we do what we do as conservatives, it's not about any of us sitting in this room, it's about the one of us being held in this room, and his name is Jarvis. And he's sitting right over there, being held by his daddy. It's because of the kids, it's not because of the liberal, it's for the kids. You know, they use that all the time. We've got to spend money because it's for the kids. We've got to increase the teacher salaries because it's for the kids. No. What's for the kids is having a real future and an economic opportunity that right now, the direction that we're going is going to absolutely squash. We have such a tremendous opportunity as conservatives. You know you guys are feared, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Look around you. You're scary like it. You're scary. And that's exciting, because that means that the liberal left understands the value of this movement. They understand the power of this movement. And it's not because you're scary people, it's because you speak scary things called common sense. Now the liberals don't like common sense, they didn't like it way back when, and they don't like it today, because they like to have their reality, they like to have their interpretation of the Constitution. They like to have their interpretation of where we have to go as a country. But it's actually quite simple. Life, liberty, property, or the pursuit of happiness. Limited government, lower taxes, that works. And people understand it. People understand that the reason we in Minnesota are great is not because of the size of our state budget. It's because of the doggone people of this state who have invested, who have risked, and who have been those people who have moved our economy and our communities forward. And that's a scary message to the liberals, because they want everybody to be victims. This victimology that we have out there from the left tells you as an individual that, you know what, you could be better if only government would help you. You really could, you know that, right? You really could. But the fact is that the people are rejecting that. You are rejecting that because you're here tonight. And while the left and their media allies like to say that the Tea Party is this or the Tea Party is that, right now, the folks that are here in this room, it's a fiscal message, it's a fiscal call to arms that we have in this country and in this state. I'll tell you, the last budget that we passed in the State House, I voted against because, first of all, in my view, it was illegal. We have a requirement in Minnesota. We are the only state in the nation who has this requirement. The only reason I know that is because I offered the amendment. We have a requirement to balance our budget for not 2 years, but for 4 years. The reason we needed to have that amendment is because politicians could not hold themselves accountable to not shift money from one biennium to the next. So we would say that we have a requirement to balance our budget. We would say, oh, well, we balanced our budget. But what we did is that we balanced it today, but we just shifted the money 3 days later into the biennium and made somebody else pay for it down the road. So whether it's the state of Minnesota or our federal government, which is sitting on well over $13 trillion worth of debt, and that's not even counting the deficit and the liabilities that we have in many of the other programs, each one of us has over a $40,000 bill coming due, and Jarvis does too. And that bill is something that we just simply can't afford. So what it means is that as Americans, as Minnesotans, we can't only talk about the tax side of the tax part of the agenda, which is important. I'm the ranking Republican on the tax committee. I think taxes are important. Well, I should say it back. I said that backward, didn't I? Taxes are important, but we got to make sure that we have an economy that works, which is why Dayton's plan, the tax the rich, tax the small business owners, just plain doesn't work. But what's also important is the spending. The spending side of the equation is so crucially important because we are spending ourselves out of prosperity. We are absolutely squashing our children's ability to have what we had, which was the fundamental belief that our economic future was going to be better than our parents. And so it's our responsibility, it's your responsibility to speak up and speak loud on those common sense issues. Those common sense issues that resonate beyond party labels. That fiscal message matters a lot. And I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. We all have to understand, and this is where you come in, we all have to understand that a fiscal future requires us to kind of buckle down a little bit, make some tough choices today so that we can have a better opportunity tomorrow. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for being involved. Really. It's really important. And it's not just about a meeting. It's about talking to your friends in the coffee shop, at church, going down to the bakery. I live in New Prague, we're a small town. We go down to the bakery in the mornings. I remember when my son was 2, he's now 15 by the way of driving, which is scary. I said the only law I'm supporting is the law that requires 15-year-olds to go 20 miles an hour. No, of course I won't, but you know, I remember he used to walk into the bakery and say, "Good morning, ladies." You know, you got to have those conversations. We've got to reconnect on a basis of person to person, because that's where we win. That's where we win this war of ideas. I truly believe that those of us on the right are the party of ideas. Not just Republicans, but those of us on the right. We are the party of ideas, and I believe in the end that our country is a center-right country, and our ideas will win the day if we communicate them well, if we're bold about what we believe. There is nothing controversial about being for limited government, freedom, parental choice in education, lower taxes, and an economic future. Don't buy into the idea that being a Tea Party member, being a Republican is a controversial thing. It's not. It's just plain common sense. Thanks so much.